Hello everyone, this is the first guide of mine for Championing League, so I'm going to introduce myself first. I am Doglop, a Grandmaster Peak support main, and I play a wide variety of champions and classes which help me a ton to understand the support role and how to play and best basically any support. As always, remember to follow me here and in my other social media and to leave a like if you like the video. So today, the guide will be about Lux, historically one of the most popular and generally strong supports in the game. To start with, let's talk about her kit. Lux passive lets mark for each ability hit, using auto attack will consume it and deal magic damage. Lux Q is a skill shot that roots up to 2 enemies for 2 seconds. Lux W is a skill shot that shields allies on the first part, and when it comes back, it grants it again and refreshes the duration of her shield. Lux E is a skill shot that slows and rebuilds an area. The ability can be recasted to deal damage and apply a slow for 1 second. Her ult is a skill shot that deals damage in a line, it also consumes and reapplies her passive. For runes, Lux is able to use a wide amount of them, but I will be mentioning the best 4 of them in my opinion. The most used and the best most of the time is Arcane Comet as your main rune, with this rune page as your secondary. This will give you a ton of poke damage, especially in lane. Another great option is Aerie with this setup as the secondary. It runs more utility but less poke. It is best if you like utility items, and even enchanter ones. The other damage options are Dark Harvest and First Strike. Dark Harvest is a damage scaling rune, and it is best in low elo where games get longer. First Strike runs a bit of burst and gold, which means you can snowball harder if you do hit your poke and skill shots. For skill order, EQW is your default. Maxing E first grants her more poke and a better slow. If you're running utility Lux and enchanter items, I recommend maxing W second over Q, since it reduces the cooldown and grants a much higher shield. So for items, I'm going to be making this part a bit more slowly and to explain more in detail what matters and what not. First of all, your initial support item, it should most of the time be Sack, but Dreammaker is not bad at all. Lux W is not that high cooldown, so you usually will proc it off cooldown. It is quite strong. Since data is a bit messy with this, with the initial support item, it's hard to tell which one is by win rate best, but I will say both of them are really good options. Then you have to look into your first item. As Lux, usually you want to be going for either Ludens or Mandate. Ludens is your more like carry item. The thing that it has is mana. It has Lost Chapter as its component, is Lux's best Lost Chapter item, which you usually want as a mage, especially since Lux is a bit mana hungry. But as another option, you can go Mandate, which grants you basically the same stats. So it's 30 less AP, but 700 gold cheaper, and instead of mana, it gives you a mana regen, which in the long run, I think it's a bit lower, since Lux's base mana regen isn't that high, but it's overall not bad at all as your first item. And 700 gold is less than 30 AP or more. I think I'm not explaining that well. So 20 AP cost 400 gold here. So 20 AP, 400. 30 AP would be 600 gold. So the item should cost 2900 in theory. But of course, as a support item, the passive is overall much stronger, since it's locked to needing an ally to be used, and it's of course getting it cheaper means you have your spike faster. In low elo, you usually want to go more for Luens, since it's the self-carry item. But if you want to try it, Mandate is really strong. Then for boots, sorcery shoes 99% of the time, unless you want to go the full enchanter route, which I'm going to talk about later. But most of the time, sorcery shoes really good. It also, like Mandate, leaves a mark that your allies can proc that damage is amped by sorcery shoes. Then I wanted to talk about Storm Surge. So Storm Surge just got nerfed in a hotfix, but I'm pretty confident that this item is still very strong. It is strong enough that it's worth considering going as a first item, even if it doesn't have any type of mana. If it's bad as a first item right now, which I'm not entirely sure, it should still be quite a consideration for your second item, which is what I have here. For legendaries, in my opinion, the best one are Horizon Focus. It reveals, basically it gives you damage if you hit enemies far away, and it also grants vision. And Storm Surge is the more burst option, and it grants magic penetration and movement speed instead of CDR. In my opinion, Horizon is a bit better right now after the nerfs, but I might be wrong. Then we have Morel as the cheap anti-healing option if the enemy has a Soraka or an Aatrox and whatnot. If your team is not going anti-healing or you are the one that is hitting everyone constantly, you can go Morella. It's not amazing for the support to go, an anti-heal item right now, but it's super cheap and it gives a ton of stats. Then we have the more... Okay, first we have Crit Bloom. Crit Bloom should be your third or fourth item against teams that are stacking magic resistance, since it gives magic penetration, haste, and ability power, and it's a bit cheaper than Voice Staff. Voice Staff is not bad at all, but I personally prefer Crit Bloom 99% of the time, and it also gives you a passive that when you kill someone or if you damage someone and the target die, you make a healing pulse. The healing is not that amazing, it's good though, and it definitely makes it much better than Voice Staff in my opinion. Rabadon, Shellflame, and Sonias are the other legendaries that are like optional. The thing about them is they are quite expensive for supports. I do not recommend to go over these price points. I wouldn't even consider Storm Surge, but it's overtuned. Or well, Ludens is kind of, your first item, so you can build it. In my opinion, like support champions get less gold. Cheaper items are usually better. 3200 items are not recommended at all, and much less 36. But if you are the one that's carrying and you have like 20 kills, yeah, maybe you can go for Rabadon or a Shadow Flame as your 4th item or whatnot. Then we have like, what I would say like the Enchanter options. We also have Ardent. The thing about Enchanter Lux is that I don't think it's that good right now. I think Shurelias is fine. I think Moonstone is quite good on her. If it wasn't bugged, that I have to say. Right now it's bugged and it's not working as it should. But if it gets bug fixed, Moonstone and Shurelias should be decent options. They are more reliable, and Moonstone is really strong on Lux. The thing about Moonstone is the item is really strong when your shield lasts more than 2.5 seconds due to the nature of shielding, and Lux W can last up to, I think it's 4 seconds or something like that, if you hit both the initial and the second part of your W. Heli I think right now is very undertuned, but it might be good if it gets buffed, and Downcore is only good if you're going pure mana regen items. Staff and Ardent are the more you shield someone and you get an effect. The thing about Staff is, I think Staff right now is a bit weak, but it shouldn't be that bad. It gives AP, which Lux likes, shouldn't be bad, and Ardent is good on your ADC, but it doesn't run CDR, which I think is really important for Lux. So let's move on. Regarding combos, for Lux they are rather simple. In lane, E to slow the enemy and then try to hit Q on your ult. If you are in range, remember to weave out attacks to maximize your damage. If you start with Q, out attack, E, R, and an auto attack to finish for the most damage. Your W is purely a defensive spell, but it helps diminishing the damage when you get close to trade, so don't forget about it. Now let's talk about Lux's best pairs. Here is my personal list. The best ADC to pair Lux with is Caitlyn, followed by Varus, Jean, and Ashe. Basically, she's best with poke and utility ADCs. Her worst pairs are hyperscalers like Aphelios or Seri, but they aren't unplayable or anything, it's just not optimal. If you want, you can build more utility-oriented items like Moonstone on Dreammaker with them. About matchups, generally speaking, Lux is very strong against short-range mages like Swain or Brand. Her E outranges them and you can easily poke them or the ADC. They also have no sustain, besides Swain who still needs to hit his spells, so poke damage hurts them bad. At the same time, Lux has a shield so she can prevent some poke damage, making her the perfect counter against them. She is also good against most tanks for a similar reason. They have no range and no sustain for the most part. Be aware though, most hook supports like Blixer or Pike are tricky to play against because if you get hit by one hook, you are dead. Other engagers will rely on flash to engage, which you should be able to react to with practice, especially against Leona or Maokai, leaving them in bad positions. Against enchanters, well, they have sustain to reduce or poke and heavily outscale you. I would not recommend to pick Lux against an enchanter unless you have another poke ADC like Caitlyn or Varus, and even then you're still on a disadvantage overall. Now, I have some tips on a general game plan you should follow with Lux. This should help you in every single one of your games. Lux is a mage champ with very high utility and range. Hitting skill shots is the main thing you should do in order to succeed, but there are many things you need to consider. First, in lane, her E is your main poke tool. You want to use it as much as possible in lane to harass the enemy DC and chip them down every time you try to CS. As you may know, auto-attacking has an animation where the enemy will be forced to stay still. That's the perfect moment to throw your E and poke the enemy. Unless they have a dash, it is 100% on you to hit the skill shot. The enemy has little to do in regards to her E. Now, her Q is a different story. In the depths of low below, you will find that you will be able to hit them a lot. The higher you go though, you will not be able to do so and will get hard punished for trying. Her Q is not good for poking and it is very unreliable at long range. That's what her E is for. You should save her Q if you know that you will hit it, to follow up another CC for example, or as a peel tool for yourself or your ADC whenever an enemy is running towards you. Similarly, only use her ult if the enemy is CC'd by either you or your allies, since it is very easy to dodge. Another big tip in lane is to focus on one enemy, usually ADC. If you poke both enemies, you will lose a ton of value. It is far more important that you use your cooldowns on mana on one target and force a 1v2 situation. Another tip I can give you is to maximize her passive and W. Those abilities are very important and most players forgot about them. Then, positioning, map awareness and wave management are key. Those are more advanced concepts, but it is important that you learn about them as soon as possible. As a squishy mage with no mobility, you want to have good awareness of where the enemy jungler is at any moment, or you will be easy to get punished and outscaled by the enemy. Her E actually grants vision, so you can always check a bush with it before warding or roaming. As a mage support, you should be looking to shove and push waves to harass the enemy under tower while they struggle with CSing. Of course, as mentioned, that is risky and make you vulnerable to ganks. That is why it's important to ward and know where the enemy might be. Another crucial tip is regarding to your mana. If you spam your abilities, you will run out of it fast. Remember to only E most of the time to poke, and save your mana and try to manage your rune cooldowns like mana flow ban or comet to maximize your poke and damage. Another tip in lane is that remember your E lasts up to 5 seconds. You can use it as a trap to get easy kills as shown in this clip. The same can apply with her ult, which has insane range and can help zone the enemy who is escaping. In Lategame, you can do two things. You can play 4 picks for your team to follow whenever an objective may be up to win a great advantage, but also remember, for a mage, Lux is really good at helping your ADC survive with her shields and CC, so don't forget to give him a hand. In teamfights, remember to play further back and to focus on enemy carries. Lux DPS is not that high, and hitting the enemy frontline is usually a waste of your burst and CC. Of course, always be aware of your team and enemy positioning, so sometimes chipping down the frontline is the best and only thing you can do. That's all for the guide. Thanks for watching and remember to leave feedback since I'm looking to improve these guides as much as possible. So leave your comment and see you on the next video.